Now, it took me a while to get this underpan off, but eventually everything was removed, so all the screws came out, the bolts came out, some with a little bit of difficulty, but a little bit of heat worked well. Now, my intention was that I might have been able to repair some of this. I knew that the rear, which I call the bulkhead, was actually completely rusted out, so that wasn't so much the problem, but I was hoping I could perhaps salvage some of the underpan. But having got it off, that is unlikely. The damage, this side isn't so bad, except for the flanges underneath here are all rusted out and would have to be replaced. The steel is all right back to about here, a little bit of damage in there, so you know that much was fine, not much there. But on the other side is where the problem is. Now there's been some, I'll call it accident damage. Probably someone's run over something and it's pushed the panel in, and they've just applied copious amounts of filler. I'll try to dig some of it out, but it's how thick? Well, at least 3/8 or more. So it's quite thick in here, and when you look underneath, you probably can't see that, but you can see the telltale signs of the worms coming through where they've used the dent puller. But under here it's very badly damaged, so I suspect that goes back right in behind this panel. Once again, the flanges on this side are ruined, and the scoop itself, coming back to about here, is gone. So it works out that I'd say in terms of the underpan is only about 20% of the metal salvageable. So on the basis of that, I've decided to replace the whole panel rather than try and repair. Now I've already got one on order. I'll see how that fits when it comes. But I was hoping I'd be able to salvage this, but no, it would an enormous amount of work to try and do that, and I'm not prepared to go to that length. So anyway, it'll cut the time down obviously in trying to do the rest of the bonnet, but anyway, that's the way it is. I'll keep this and I'll align the new panel up with this to see what differences there are, or what's left of this panel. I understand there may be some differences at the rear end where it meets with the guards. There may be some differences in the way the mounts are put on for the, or the position of the mounts for the hinges here. So I want to make sure that that the measurements are the same, and if they're not, then I'll know what the problems are in terms of putting it onto the rest of the bonnet, and what issues I may have in trying to fit the bonnet to the body. So anyway, that's it. Oh, the only salvageable bit here is the number plate bracket. That's a little bit twisted, but that will be fine. So anyway, I'll wait for the order to arrive, and then I'll see what I've got. These are the headlight covers from inside the bonnet. The one here I've actually cleaned up in vinegar just to remove the rust. These are the pieces that go round on the inside to seal against the wind. Clean those off as well. Condition of this one is probably poor. Quite a lot of rust ran in the bottom end. To repair this, I would more than likely have to remove this and replace this section underneath as well as the flange. At this stage I'm thinking about doing that. It's achievable. If I go for the option of replacing every rusted panel, I'd be actually replacing most of the panels on the car. So I'll see if I can repair that. These aren't too bad. There's a couple of places, that one's fine. This one's rusted up on the end there, so I'd have to cut and replace that. That's achievable. This one here, I haven't cleaned the rust off yet. It's ready to go in the vinegar bath. It's not as bad as the other one. There's a little bit of this flange will have to be replaced. This whole corner will have to be replaced. And there's a couple of places where rust has gone through here. So it's certainly not as bad as the other one. But until I clean it up, I really don't know. So that will go in the bath. This is one of the bumper bar mounts. The mounting bolts were cut off when I got the car, so they'd have to be removed. They'll go in the bath, see if they clean up. And this piece is the piece that goes inside the scoop at the bottom there. So that one, a little bit rusted on the sides, obviously a lot of surface rust. I'll drop that in the bath and clean that up as well. So cleaning up is where I'll start, and I'll assess whether I repair some of these or bite the bullet and replace. As I say, I prefer to repair wherever possible. This is the left hand side headlight cover where the support mount for the bonnet goes. The condition of this side, similar damage to the other. Obviously this bottom flange is rusted and will have to be replaced, and basically it's damaged. All this section is damaged. It's either buckled, which is the case in there, or it's rusted through. So basically all of that corner will need to be replaced, and the bottom flange. The cover itself, there's a couple of areas of damage, a few spots here that need to be repaired, so having a look at this, I think I will repair it. What I'll do is to actually take this piece off the cover. It's obviously spot welded somewhere around there. I need to find out where they are and remove those. So I'll remove this, repair this section, and then plug weld it back on. I'll do the other side the same way. So repairable. There's a fair bit of work to do in it, but certainly most of the panel remains. It's just the bottom area here that's gone. So that will be put aside to repair. I'm not immediately going to do with those, so I'll put those aside. And in terms of the restoration of the bonnet, I'll spend a little bit more time looking at how the new panel fits on the front. Not too much more. I'll just see where the other panels need to be actually repaired. I'll just swing the camera up a bit. Just, as I say, have a look at where I need to make any repairs, particularly the heater ducts, or the air ducts, not the heater ducts. So I get most of that shaped before I pull the rest of the bonnet apart. So bonnet's going to take a while. I'll probably tackle little pieces at a time, so I'm not ready to work on it full time because I'm still doing work on the rear hatch, so be a bit of time before I can spend lots of time on it, but I'll probably just come back to it every now and then and get it ready for the repairs. So as I say, I need to get this to fit on a little bit better, so to find out where it's catching up and look at where the existing panels on the car may need to be shaped, or I don't really want to reshape this. This looks like a pretty good shape as it is, but I may need to probably adjust these air ducts a little bit so I can get this to fit a lot better than it is at the moment. But as I say, early days, a lot more work to do. I couldn't resist just looking at the general fit of the new panel. Now, I'm not ready to fit it obviously, but I just wanted to see what I'm in for when I start to work on the bonnet. I've just dropped it in place. It's been a little bit hard to get on because I've actually had some damage on the air ducts where they've been pushed up, which means they don't fit into the curve of the bottom section. I'll just temporarily push them up a bit, fitting a little bit better. But just looking at the general fit, the mouth fits, well, as far as I'm concerned, pretty close to perfect. The rear end, that's lining up quite nicely, so there's not much of a, or if any, problem there. It's fitting well. Just coming around the other side. Not sitting down properly here, but once again I've got the air duct pushing it up and pushing it out of shape. But if I pull that down, which I'm not going to, once again the line is very good. So I'm very pleased with this. This is a Roby panel. I was expecting any panel to be a little bit out from what I've seen on the internet, but this one looks quite good, certainly in terms of the alignment on the guard and the mouth. Now, I'm not sure how the position of the hinges will be. I'll check that against the one I've got. Now, the alignment I'm looking there is that whether the mounting is actually forward towards the car or further away. Hopefully it's pretty much the same as the existing bonnet, which means that this bonnet, seeing I'm only replacing this section, if the hinges are pretty much in the same position in terms of the horizontal, this bonnet should fit back the way it was originally. But anyway, just looking at that fit, I'm more than impressed the way that's turned up. I've got a lot of work to do on the guards, and obviously I've got work to do on the air ducts where they've been pushed down there. But apart from that, I couldn't have asked for a better panel. I know I said I was only just going to drop this on to see what the fit was like, which was the original intention, but I've decided just to go a little bit further and see if I can get it to fit a little bit better. So what I've started doing is to remove the bulk of the collision damage on this side. Now, it was bent in here a fair way, which put this out of shape. It still is a bit out of shape. I've been gradually knocking it back on the wire side. It was also folded in here, which is not so much the problem. This is the problem, pushing that and then maybe anyway, distorting where the fit is up on the front of the wheel arch there. So it has improved it, just knocking that out. I'm getting closer and closer to where those bolts should line up with the air ducts. That's if in fact they do. They may not end up exactly lining up, but I'll see how close I can get it. I'll just keep reshaping things. A little bit more work on the guard here, and I've spent a little bit more time on the air ducts, trying to straighten those out, so they're getting a lot better. So anyway, I thought I'd just try it and see if I can improve it. It's, as I say, it's getting very close. On this side it won't go down because it's not coming in enough here. Now, as I say, maybe it won't. I'll take some measurements of the old, or what's left of the old scoop, and see if the measurements are the same. Well, as best I can do it with what's left of it. And you know, maybe these measurements here are slightly different, but I'll check that as well. Anyway, I'll see how far I can go. I certainly don't want to spend too much time, but I'm waiting on other things to happen, particularly with the hatch. I've just tried to remove some rust with some vinegar. It's been a little bit stubborn, so I've had to put it on for a few more days. So anyway, I'll keep sort of chipping away at this. I've taken measurements between the face of this panel and the front of the nose on both the new and the old panels, and what I have is a 5mm difference on between the old panel and this panel on this side, and on the other side I've got a 15mm difference. So the difference is that it's a shorter distance on the new panel, so that's why it won't come back and line up with those holes. And that's close, but doesn't win the prize. So I've just temporarily bolted it in position, lining up the nose with the existing panels on here, and it just proves the point. Everything's lined up at the front. That's about a 5mm difference there, and on the other side it's about a 10mm difference. I'll just come round. There, it's about a 10mm difference there. I can live with that. Things can be modified to make these line up perfectly. This stage everything else seems to line. The only bit that's out is this bit here, which has copped a bit of a dent, which I assume is a bumper bar dent, so that's sort of out of kilter a bit. It pushes in, I'm worried about that, so that's not a problem. The other thing I've noticed is where this sits in here. I would have thought that admittedly there's a piece rusted out of that, but I would have thought the panels would have lined up to a neat seam. So it certainly doesn't appear to do it there, and there it's a bit hard to tell yet, and the light's not good anyway, but it's very close. So the new panel is very good in terms of its fit. I've got work to do on the wings anyway, and a bit of work to do on the centre section of the bonnet, but I won't have much to do at all, or maybe I will. Maybe I'll add a bit of metal to make that line up. I'll wait and see further down the track. So the end result is that this is fitting very nicely.